You all fasten your seatbelts, because those who know me know that I use a lot of images very quickly. I'll say a few words about the world we live in as I see it and some of the challenges, and then three basic themes: medicine, health and education, food, agriculture and natural resources, and technology, industry and the environment. So my friends, let's start with this little prologue. We are living the third global revolution. The first revolution was agriculture. It allowed societies to become sedentarized and civilizations to rise. The second global revolution was the industrial revolution, which transformed not only the means of production, but the relationship between humans and the product that they work on. The third global revolution is the knowledge revolution. We are witnessing an amazing transformation right now, where the emphasis is no longer brawn, as we would say, or muscle, but brain. This is where it's coming from. And it's having a major impact in transforming industries, in creating new sectors in areas which didn't exist before. The revolution that we are living is just beginning. We are only beginning right now. The speed of change is phenomenal. The interaction between science, technology, and innovation is great. Sometimes it raises fears in society about the ability to cope with that speed, as practically everything we know gets transformed within a few short years. We talk about the information society or the knowledge society. And data, when it gets organized, becomes information. When it's explained, it becomes knowledge. But is that enough? What we really need to cope with our challenges is wisdom. Wisdom is beyond knowledge. It's in addition to knowledge. The world we live in, however, is one where there is a lot of knowledge, but perhaps not enough wisdom. And that's perhaps something which we shall seek from our distinguished visitors. It is a globalized world where boundaries have been transgressed in many ways. We know the problems: financial markets that have gone out of control, the feeling among many in the developing world and even in the industrial world that the poor are left behind and unable to cope, whether they are in the rich countries or in the poor. In the meantime, lifestyles continue unabated, both in energy consumption, in means of transportation, in destruction of our patrimony of natural resources, and in our continuing pollution and its impact on climate change and the greenhouse gases, but also pollution of that most vital of things for life, which is water. Sadly, we are still spending enormously on the military. 16 times more on military spending than on development assistance around the world today, with horrible impacts. And yet, despite what we know about the cost of war, it continues. People can always find money for it. This, to me, is one of the most moving pictures I have seen. But then, of course, I am a librarian, so I am deeply moved by the child holding the books. I think that it is depriving also human rights. It's not just political and civil rights, but access to knowledge, ability to learn, to flourish is part of human rights. And I would say that it is not enough to celebrate the earth and its inhabitants, that we must restore what we have destroyed. We can see the possibilities. We have an unlimited transformation in our ability to communicate around the world. There is a gaining ground for the notion that we have a common humanity and all should share in human rights. A global consensus was formed, not just about the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in 1948 and subsequent instruments, but even about the Millennium Development Goals. And yet, my friends, the first and most essential of the Millennium Development Goals, the one that would try to fight poverty and hunger, is going the wrong way. Now, why is this all wrong? Because, in fact, what we need above all to implement these images, these goals, is peace. I call a witness that you will all recognize, and not just because it's the year of France and Egypt. Napoleon Bonaparte is probably one of the best known figures in history, and the person who actually used the sword somewhat. What you may not know is what he said, reflecting on his life. He said, "You know what astonished me most in the world? The inability of force to create anything. In the long run, the sword is always beaten by the esprit," which would be mind or spirit, depending on how you translate it. So, on reflecting on his life, Napoleon found, in fact, that the lasting contributions he made were those of the foundation of academies of science, foundation of the National Theatre, the central bank, the système des lycées français around the world, and the Code Civil. His military victories and defeats were extremely ephemeral and left no mark on society. So the essential goals, if we're going to go to peace, it is peace and justice, for there is no security without peace, there is no peace without justice, there is no justice without equity, and there is no equity without inclusion. People must be included in the processes that affect them, or else there will be no lasting peace.